What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. Alright, so before I get into this video, I want to give a big shout out to the sports and political channel of LB. The brother LB did a video talking about this with Tim Scott. And he gave his opinions on it. Really good video. And please subscribe to his platform. Because he's getting closer and closer to the 2,000 subscriber mark, and really want him to get past that mark. So please subscribe to his channel if you haven't already. So Tim Scott of South Carolina, the junior senator for South Carolina, is having some issues right now with donors, Republican donors. Because if you don't know, Tim Scott is running for the GOP nomination for president in 2024. Now, all of a sudden, you got some Republican donors who have issues with the fact that Tim Scott, they want to know his status. They want to know whether or not, he's dating someone or whatever, because supposedly there are some rumors. There are rumors that he may be gay. All right. He's never been married. He doesn't have children. He's 57 years old. And he's never been linked with a woman. So this has fired up some rumors that he may in fact be a homosexual or a closet homosexual. Now, these are my thoughts about this. On the one hand, Tim Scott is complaining about, his privacy and not wanting to put his personal life out there and blah, 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 yakety schmackety. Well, Mr. Scott, when you run for president, your privacy ceased to be a thing that really exists. They're going to go through your past. They're going to look at everything you possibly have done. They're going to have investigators look into your private life, look into anything. They're going to look at your school records. They're going to look at any possible criminal records, look to see if you have any aliases, look to see anything that could possibly be used as a weapon for the Democrats in the event that you won the nomination, which I don't think is ever going to happen as far as president, or maybe if you ran as a VP. So they want to know everything, anything and everything that could hurt them. And yeah, I'm sorry, but you got to also be cognizant of the fact that you're running for the Republican nomination. They're supposedly the party of family, right? They're supposedly the party of family. So these types of things, are going to matter more to them than the Democrats. It's just how it is, man. It's just going to matter more to them than than the other party, supposedly. Even though they didn't have a problem with Lindsey Graham, Lindsey Graham has run for president a couple times, and he's never been married, and he doesn't have children. But apparently, they never felt like that mattered. But it is what it is, because part of it is also some of these people. And I'm gonna tell you what I think part of it is as well. Part of the reason why they're bringing up this shit with him being single, whatever. I've always talked about this. The Republican Party will use people like Tim Scott to be a mouthpiece for their WS views. Clean it up a little bit. They'll do that. But as far as putting you in a position of power, they're not going to do that. They're going to feel very uncomfortable doing it. And therefore, they're going to always try to find these smoke and mirror reasons to prevent you from being a leader, a real leader of the party. They do it all the time. Now, I'm not saying they're the only party to do it, because the Democrats do it as well, and I can bring up many examples. But with Tim Scott, look at the history. There's always these smoke and mirror reasons to hide the real reason, which is that they don't really want someone black in a leadership position in the party, a real leadership position. Remember Herman Cain, Mr. 999 himself, right? Remember that fucking 2-week-long sex scandal where all these women just trotted out these ugly fucking behemoths, bull dykes and goddamn buffalo came out and, oh, he did this to me and he did that and he did this and he did that, and all of a sudden he had to drop out and his poll numbers suffered and he dropped out, and then all of a sudden I ain't hear none more legal issues from Herman Cain. They settled, either they just disappeared on the face of the earth, or I guess he settled out of court, and I never heard any more about that shit. Never heard anything more about it. Or sometimes, like Alan Keyes, or like someone like what's the guy's name, man, from California, calls himself the Sage of South Central. What the fuck is his name, man? It's that despicable bastard name. Jesus, I'm blanking on his name right now. The Apocalypse of Coons. What the hell is his name? It'll come to me a little bit. They'll either find reasons to just not have you participate. Oh, you don't meet the poll threshold, or something like that. They'll just find some reason to keep you out. Or I remember in 2016 when Ben Carson was surging a little bit, right? Then all of a sudden you had this, well, I'm not sure if he is qualified. I don't know about his foreign policy credentials, I don't know if he knows foreign policy. I said, well, Trump does. Trump knows foreign policy. So, all these things are smoke and mirrors to hide the fact that he's black. And some of them don't feel comfortable because at the end of the day, what if he becomes vice president under Trump and Trump gets elected to a second term, but then Trump dies? These are things that go into their minds when they're looking into this shit. Right? Then, I'm going to tell you another thing that they're concerned about. Another reason why they want to know who he's dating has a lot to do with his loyalties. All right? If Tim Scott was dating, let's say, someone like, just trying to think of somebody. If he was dating Candace Owens, they'll be okay. Maybe. But if he was dating someone that looked like he was dating a young Ann Coulter, ding ding, green check mark. If he was dating someone that was of the mindset more of Michelle Obama, or a liberal black woman, no. So what I'm getting at is they want people like him to have at least loyalty to, and have his best interest at least to the predominant people in this group, in this country. They're very concerned about that. So that's partially another reason why they're concerned about who he's dating. You know, part of it's a smokescreen, and part of it is we need to see who he's loyal to. And that, my friends, is the nasty, dirty part of politics. Whenever you see a person who's black, especially nominated for a position, and there's nothing wrong with interracial marriage. I'm not saying that. It's not on them. It's on the people who are selecting them. They're the ones that have dastardly mindsets, because they don't want to see a person who's black who may have a personal agenda at hand. You see what I'm saying? They don't want that, even if it's from the right. They don't trust a black person like that. They'll use someone like Tim Scott to do their bidding, but when you put them in a position of power, that, you know, they don't trust us like that. But, you know, you can't, you know, some people it's hard to convince, you know. And by the way, this isn't just limited to the left, or the right, excuse me. You see it on the left. I remember when Barack Obama ran for president back in 2008, when he ran against Hillary. And for about almost a year, maybe a little bit more than a year, or almost a year at least, it seemed like Barack Obama was, you know, it's cute he's running, but he's not really going to beat Hillary. The Clinton machine is going to destroy him, blah, 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 blah. I heard that for the entire year, right? And I kept believing in Barack Obama, because I said, this guy's different, man. This guy, he's not, I said, first of all, he's a brilliant orator. He's the best orator I had ever heard in my life. And I could tell by the political climate at the time, the economy was fucked. People was tired of Bush. Republicans were not doing well polling wise. I said, man, this guy may actually be able. And plus, Hillary was just part of the old Democratic machine, and, you know, 80s, 90s. Just for like his message resonated. And I said, this guy might be able to knock Hillary off, man. But I said, it's going to have to come with black voters switching allegiances. Because at first they would align with Hillary until South Carolina. But anyway, I remember when it became apparent that Barack wasn't just a guy that was there for a token appearance, but he might actually win it. All of a sudden now, you had Democrats saying, well, we think he's a nice fellow, but we question his qualifications. We don't think he's had enough experience being, in politics or office to be president. I said, well, wait a minute. Hillary's only been in office herself for 7 years, 8 years, 6 years as a senator. I mean, it ain't like she got the biggest fucking experience either. So they kept counting her experience being the wife of a fucking politician. Okay, well, does that mean Nancy Reagan can run for president? That mean Barbara Bush would be fucking president too? So that's one of those smoke and mirror reasons. Then another thing, I remember when our former governor Ralph Northam got in trouble with that, blackface situation, and the lieutenant governor was Justin Fairfax, a black man, and when it became apparent that it was getting kind of close to Ralph Northam having to resign, all of a sudden you saw these motherfuckers bring up this shit with Justin Fairfax and supposedly him, assaulting a woman. Shit that had been dead for years got re-brought up. Why? Because they did not want Justin Fairfax. First of all, they did not want a man like Justin Fairfax to be governor because he's black, partially. And that's the Democratic Party. And secondly, they did that to knock the Ralph Northam scandal off of the fucking map, and that helped Ralph Northam stay in office, right? So at the end of the day, all this shit really is about, and I hate to say it, man, but it's about racism. It is. It's about racism, but we see it all over this political spectrum, man. By the way, if I haven't said this already, they didn't care when Lindsey Graham ran for president. He was never married. He doesn't have any kids. He's even older than Tim Scott. And there have been a lot more rumors and questions about him, sexuality wise. And we had a president, James Buchanan, who never got married, never had children, was suspected of being gay. He became president in 1857. And Grover Cleveland, when he became president for the first time in 1884-85, he wasn't married. He had one kid that he never claimed publicly and was paying for. When I say paying for, I mean providing for financially out of wedlock, which was actually a scandal in 1884. Though he did get married in the White House in 1886 and sired like 4 or 5 kids. The last one passing away in 1995. But anyway, yeah. And then remember the guy that was the third party candidate back in 2016, Gary Johnson, Libertarian, got 4 million votes. Remember the Democrats, i.e. the media, tried to cancel him because he didn't know where Aleppo was or what Aleppo was. And to this day, most Americans don't know what the fuck that was. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is one of those gotcha questions because they knew that he probably wasn't strong on foreign policy. And he didn't know what that was. Like, oh, well, how he doesn't know what... Nigga, you don't know what that is. I thought that was a dog. I thought that was dog food at first. I still don't know what the fuck Aleppo is. I read about it, knew it in my head for about a week, and forgot. Because most Americans don't know what the fuck that was or what it was about. So, they play these games, man. They're always playing these games, but that's pretty much what I feel about Tim Scott, man. In summary, they're doing this shit because they worry about his loyalty as a black man. But they can't come right out and say it, so they're using these smokescreen reasons. That's all I got to say about it.